Okay, thanks, Linda. I'd like to welcome everybody to Growing Concerns for, I guess, 2013. For those of you that have been on it before, basically know the process, but for some of the newer people, it's going to be a weekly event now through till fall, and what we try to do is try to get as much current and up-to-date information as we can as to what's going on out in the field, and just to try to keep everybody as up-to-date as possible as we can of different issues happening during the growing season. Being that we haven't done a lot in the field so far this year, we're going to start with a little bit of an update from myself today, and then we're able to get Mike Wroblewski to come and talk to us, and Mike is going to give us a weather forecast update. I'd asked him if he could maybe give us a little bit of update as to where we're sitting right now and maybe where we're going to sit over the next week or so here with weather, and maybe just some of the I guess the weather situations in some other parts of the country, and see how that might impact on some of our production issues. So with that, we'll get started with the webinar. And first few slides here, I just wanted to show how things have changed just over the last 3 years with our seeding. And this was last year in April of this time. We had a lot of producers that were out in the field. They were definitely out there seeding already and getting crop in the ground. A lot of producers had a fair bit in by this time. Then you look back a year before that, we were in a situation where we were facing flood situations in the Souris area here, and not a whole bunch of seeding was happening yet. There was some areas that were drier and they were maybe getting close to being ready to go, but the majority of the time was spent trying to, I guess, control some water issues. And again, just a picture of the Cinnabon Valley in April of 2011. So we're a little bit concerned this year with the melt, because it's happening so slow, and if it was to turn around and warm up real fast, we might have some flood conditions in some areas. But a lot of the producers are probably looking at the quicker the snow would go, the better. This way they can get out onto the fields and get going with this year's planting. This is a picture I took the other day, and this is April 16th of 2013. So as you can see, we've gone from having crop in the ground to flooding to snow still a foot deep on most of the fields in the southwest here. And then this morning we got another skiff of snow on the ground as I was coming to work. So it seems like the snow doesn't want to go away this year, and definitely starting to cause some concerns with some producers. And I've been starting to get some calls about, is it getting too late for certain crops? Is it getting, should I be looking at my seeding plans? And still think it's a little bit too early to be making seeding changes. Things can happen fast. Snow could go fast. We could be on the land in a couple of weeks, maybe 3, depending on the weather. But I guess with the current weather conditions, I say we're probably looking at the second week of May before we get started south of number 2 highway here, and for most of those guys, that's probably at least a week later than normal, maybe even closer to 10 days later than normal. And so, for a lot of those guys, it's getting, it's not late, but it's definitely later than normal. But when you start moving north, that's where some of the issues might start coming into play, with some producers looking at growing some of the, some of the crops like soybeans and corn this year. If it does get any later, or if the weather throws us a few more curveballs, I could see some of those guys maybe starting to rethink some of the planting intentions on some of those crops. Not necessarily that those crops won't make it, but just that the risk is definitely going to be higher. And if the later we get, I could see a lot more producers going to the conventional crops, just because they know how to grow them. It's not a learning curve. They can get it in. They can get them in fast. There's not a lot of special requirements for getting those crops in. Once they get things set, they can put a lot of acres in quick. So I could see those acres going down, especially if we run into some rainfall events that would take us off the land for once we get started. So weather right now, from now till getting the crop in, is going to be really crucial as to our seeding plans. As of right now, I think we're still okay, but we're still probably 2 to 3 weeks away from being in the field yet. So lots can happen between now and then. I guess one of the things that the other questions we've been getting a fair bit in the office is winter wheat. This is a picture of winter wheat that was sown in the fall of 2011 and got off to a pretty good start. You can see the rows were up really good. We had a really good year for planting winter wheat, a really good fall for planting winter wheat. This is that winter wheat, or another winter wheat field in April 15th of 2012. So basically this is what the winter wheat looked like a year ago, and we're definitely not seeing anything like that out there right now. And just to let see how fast those crops are progressing, this is May the 23rd of 2012. We actually had some winter wheat just starting to go into the flag leaf stage. So the concern we're getting is this is what it looked like last fall when producers were planting winter wheat, and a lot of the winter wheat never did get off to a great start. We have a lot of producers that actually had winter wheat that sprouted in the ground and just kind of sat there, never did emerge through the soil. And now the big concern is, how long is it going to be able to, I guess, survive in the soil before producers are going to have to look at maybe reseeding some of those acres. And that's a good question, and I think we'll probably be able to, get some answers to that over the next couple of weeks here as the snow eventually starts to go and the soil warms up. Those plants should start growing fairly fast, and then it'll be basically a field-per-field judgment call as to whether there'll be a crop there or not. That field that I took these pictures on last year right here where the wheat never did make it to the ground, that's what that field looked like the other day. So again, still lots of snow on that field, and a fair ways behind what the winter wheat looked like last year at this time. And this is just another winter wheat field closer to Cirrus. Again, lots of snow on the stubble still, and making it later and later for getting that crop to come in for an early harvest. So I guess with that, what we're planning on doing this May 1st and 2nd, May 1st in Hamiota and May 2nd in Cirrus, we're planning on having a winter wheat survival meeting. And this is a tentative agenda right now, just a few of the topics I thought I would throw out there so you could see, I guess, what we're looking at talking about. The first thing we're going to do is go through a few practices or sessions on how to determine if the plants have survived the winter. And the goal was to go out to the field, but as we keep getting later and later, the snow not leaving, and it's going to get harder and harder to go to the field. So what we're planning on doing is bringing the field into the meetings, and we're going to go dig up some areas and see if get the winter wheat growing, and show what to look for when you're out in the fields. We're also going to look at rotations and disease issues in case the crop needs to be destroyed. We always have a lot of producers that will be looking at what they can plant on those fields. Wheat streak mosaic is definitely going to be something we're going to need to be concerned about. So we'll have a few people talking regarding the disease issues and what to look for. Was going to probably get an update from MAFRI regarding crop insurance. There's been some crop insurance changes with winter wheat for this coming fall, and also look at some fertility issues. So if the winter wheat has made it, then what we should look at doing with fertility-wise on some of those fields. So May 1st and May 2nd, those will be the 2 days for for the meetings, May 1st in Hamiota, May 2nd in Ceres. Looking at starting them at 10 and going to 3, and we'll be getting this information out fairly quickly in the next day or so here. Got a couple pictures from Elmer Kaskiw, who's the FPA in South Parkland. This is some good news when you take a look at Lake of the Prairies, and you see the outlet for they've been letting out lots of water out of the lake. See by the next picture, the original riverbed is actually there. And according to Elmer, talking to some of the people around there, they've never seen the lake this low in a long time. So that's good news, because that may mean that some of the water that we're been hearing about and been a little bit scared about might be able to be slowed down and kept in Lake of the Prairies, which would mean maybe a little less flooding in the Assiniboine Valley at least. So that's some good news there. I guess with that, that's kind of my brief little update right now. Again, not a lot of stuff going on crop-wise right now. Basically just looking at talking to producers regarding seeding plans and seeding intentions. So I guess with that, I was going to turn it over to Mike, and Mike is going to give us a little bit of weather and maybe even a little bit of a flood update. So with that, Mike, let you take it over.
Okay, Mike, if you could,
thanks, Lionel.
Mike,
just a note on the flood.
Sorry, Mike, you just need to click the button that says show my screen.
Duh. Sorry about that. Just a note on the flood. I think they're coming out with another update again next week. I'm not getting too much confidence out of any of those people in terms of direction on the flood. There's certain things on the ground that we see in terms of the snow cover and the amount of sublimation that's happened that it's just hard to determine, I guess, at least in my head as a weather person, about where this flood's coming from. But we'll take a look at some of the products that I have lined up, and we'll see what's up there. Right now you're looking at the latest surface analysis for Western Canada, and things are pretty mellow on the prairies right now. There's a little trough going through us that's going to slip off to our east, but other than that, things are going to really warm up. Just for the outlook, there's really nothing in the next couple of days except above zero temperatures. We've got some warm, moist air coming in from the Pacific for later on in the week and into next week. So temperatures, luckily, are starting to turn on the upswings. So we'll take a really good look on this in the next 2 weeks and see how we transition out of this winter season. So that's the latest surface analysis. I wanted to show everyone, sorry. Okay, here's the soil temperatures currently, and the reason I wanted to show everybody here is that you'll see there's a plot of the southwest in the bottom frame. It's not the easiest thing to see, however. What I did want to show you is on the far left-hand side of the graph, you'll see that all the temperature profiles took a big jump around last Thursday, or 2 Thursdays ago. So it's really approaching phase change in all areas right now. There's a few places that are pretty buried in snow like forest, but other than that, most stations in the southwest appear to be approaching the phase change in the soil. So that's good news. Hopefully, by the start of next week, we'll start seeing some sine waves in those soil temperature profiles, and that would indicate that things in the soil at the top level are starting to thaw out. So there's the soil temperatures. Everything's starting to come up to the 0 point, and you'll see it's really neat to watch this soil temperatures as they approach the phase change. They'll lock in right around the 0 point, and they'll hang there until they leave the frozen state. So it'll be interesting to watch in the next week or so how you'll start to see all these curves start to really take on a sine wave cycle. So that's looking up. So we're about a week away from seeing phase change in the soils. I can't see my bottom screen to see my product, so I'll try to pick them on the side here. I'm going to whip right to the American models. or first I'll look at the Canadian model short range. This is a precipitation accumulation map, and you'll see right in here there's Manitoba. Now these colors are all associated with the amounts on the right-hand side, various amounts from 0 all the way up to unlimited amount of precip. This one's valid this morning, and it runs for the next, this is a 10-day run, so I'm going to try to, I can't see my right-hand side of the screen. Let me see. Oh. Hold on. There we go. Sorry about that. Oh. I think I lost my screen there. You there, Linda?
Yes, we can see your desktop.
Hello?
Yeah, we can see your desktop. It just seems to be taking a little bit of time to load.
Okay, sorry about that.
Oh, there. We can see something now. I'm just not sure.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't control all the things on there, so.
I'm just gonna. Do you need your Outlook open, Mike? Because that might be slowing you down a little.
I guess it doesn't loop. It doesn't loop. I'm sorry. I thought I'd try to make a loop here. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Kinda. We can see the top of it.
Okay. Can you see it now? In southern Manitoba, this area?
Yes. Yeah, we can see it.
Anyways, you'll see as it clocks through the days here, the accumulation. You'll see that there's a big, huge field expected off to our south again. For us in southern Manitoba, the green area is 10 to 15 millimeters accumulated throughout the period, and this takes us all the way to the 17th. Or sorry, let me just run through. And you can see on Sunday there's showers or flurries coming in. But other than that, we don't have anything really accumulated for the whole period. So here's the view all the way out to the 27th of April to Saturday. And as you can see, except for the extreme southern portions of Manitoba, we're going to not see much precip in the next 10 days. That field is about 15 to 20 that you see in the southern, extreme southern areas. So this is shaping up to be a normal transition in terms of the amount of precip. We usually see this vast amount to our south, but we're always on that demarcation line in the spring. So as you can see, for the next 10 days, there's not too much precip, except for Sunday, this coming Sunday, there's really nothing in our forecast. So that's good things. Combined with the sublimation that we've seen for the last 3 weeks, I'd say we've lost 3/4 of our snowpack just due totally to sublimation. And that's just the snow evaporating right off the snow cover without melting. So I don't think we could find any better scenario for, especially when we were kind of scared of the forecast about 3 weeks ago with the impending high water and the amount of precip. But I don't think things could have turned out any better right now in terms of the freezing temperatures at night and just above 0 in the day. So it's a perfect scenario. And this weather model here for the next 10 days, for the Canadian model at least, there's nothing really coming in. If you can see that there's a pretty wide area from southern Manitoba to where the big fields of precipitation are. So, short of anything miraculous happening with a Colorado low, we should be okay. I'm going to switch to the American models and we'll take a look. This one goes out a bit farther, but I'll try to run through. This product that you're seeing right now is the third. This is accumulated for precipitation by the Americans out till the 3rd of May. And it's really, here's Manitoba right here. They're almost mirror images of each other. The Americans are saying a bit less precip in southern Manitoba than the Canadian models, but what's similar is this big precip field and its orientation on the continent here. It's jiving almost exactly with the Americans. So I think it's safe to say that we're not, except for this coming Sunday with this quick little low, there's nothing really of any substance coming our way in the next, this is out to 360 hours, so out to the start of next month. So combining with these warm temperatures that we're expecting next week, I really think we're in a good position to see a melt off here. So that's the American models, and that takes us out to the 3rd of May. So these are all good things that I'm showing you, just so you see all these indicators are all really good for us in terms of this flood. Now I'll try to take a look at a few of the flood situations here. I want to throw you up this significant river flood outlook. Now, so we've been hearing a lot, at least with the flood guys, where the majority of this events that we have this spring are going to be river related. So here's a map that the Americans put out forecasting out till the 20th. And there's nothing except for this little red area just south of the provincial borders here. And I assume that's the Souris and the Pembina around there. So they're still worried down there. But what's good to see is there's nothing really in the Red River Valley in the next couple days. So things are looking good there in the flood too so far. With this slow melt, it even helps things worse. Some places down south, especially around this region here, got upwards of 40 centimeters of snow. So that's something significant to watch, and I expect it to churn a new flood update sometime early next week. Here's the precip so far accumulated from 17th March to the 15th April. So it's pretty much the last month. And you can see this is a departure from average precip. This is done by Ag Canada with our data. You'll see most of southern Manitoba is around, they're about 10 millimeters below how much we usually see in the month of, at least the latter part of March and early April. So this has also helped our situation in this impending flood also to see numbers like this. So this is all good news also. I'm going to run to the Canadian mid-range models right now. We'll take a peek. Taking a few seconds here. Okay, here's Environment Canada's temperature anomaly outlook for April, May, and June. Sorry, and you'll see there's no expectations that are above or below normal, except for above normal in the extreme southwest corner of the province. So this is kind of jiving with the trend that's happened all spring, where there's no real indication of above or below normal. So that's good to see. We'll take a look at the precip now in a second. And here's the outlook for the next 3 months for precip by the Canadian models. There we go. So this is the precipitation anomaly outlook for April, May, and June by Environment Canada. And you'll see the majority of our, well, the whole southern Manitoba is below normal for precip. So that's another good sign, at least in terms of this flood. Now, whether or not this is a trend that's going to begin for the remainder of the summer, as everybody knows, the last 2 years, right around July 1st, everything kind of shut off for precip. So everybody was talking about wet conditions right about now. However, we were talking last year about the dry conditions. So my worry about this year is things kind of shut off again in July. Things down south are improving and looking up in terms of getting more precip than the last couple of years. But to start off the season with below normal already, it's maybe something to watch, especially in the southwest or southeast of our province, where it was dry coming into fall. So my concern's quickly shifting from too much water to, once again, not enough in the long term. So 3 years without July, August normal precip could start to make an impact for sure. Okay, I'm going to switch to the American products for outlooks. First, I'll take a look at the temperature. I don't know if everybody can see that. It's kind of hard. You'll see that most of this, whoa, here we go. So this is the April outlook, and as everybody knows, we're below normal, and this kind of confirms everything. You can see the blue patch throughout the southern Saskatchewan and southern Manitoba, so no surprises there. Precipitation, the Americans are saying for the rest of this month. And there's nothing on the board at all except for the extreme southeast U.S. along the Gulf Coast, which is good news also. This is a departure of what the Americans have been forecasting all winter long. They're expecting below normals, below normals, below normals to the extreme south. So this is another positive sign about our summer precip. So we'll keep an eye on the southern U.S. for sure in the upcoming 3 months. I'm just going to quickly whip to our 3-month outlook U.S. And as you can see, here it is valid for April, May, and June. And you'll notice in southern Manitoba, there's a bit of some changes going on. It's mostly below normal for the majority of the southwest, and then you'll see a little tiny no change just in the southeastern quarter. So one thing to note is the hot temperatures expected in the whole Texas panhandle, 50% above normal. So a chance of 50% above normal. So it looks like the temperature engine's going to start up again down south with more hot temperatures. Let's look at the 3-month precip. Now this is valid April, May, and June American model. And you can see the EC means equal chances above and below. So there's no real indication as far as the Americans are concerned that we're going to see less than normal precip. So there's a bit of confliction between the Canadian and the American models. I tend to usually believe the American models, at least long range, and it's been like that for probably longer than a year. I've been looking at the American models, and they've been jiving a heck of a lot more than the Canadian models. So one note is there is a bit of alleviation in terms of how much below normal the southern U.S. and by seeing this narrow little swath just throughout this area here, this is also really optimistic too. Just in terms that the forecast earlier on in the winter was forecasting this whole area here to be below normal. So seeing this above normal, especially dipping into the Midwestern states, is really good, and it's an optimistic sign that maybe we won't be hard off in terms of precip in those latter months of the summer. We'll take a look at the drought information that they're talking about. Obviously, we're still kind of in winter in the northern states. There's still a good snowpack around, but here we go. But things are looking up down there too, and they've been trending. The moisture situation's been trending in the positive direction for the last month or so. So things are looking up. Here's the latest analysis. It's a bit old, but the reoccurring theme, the red areas are some extreme values in terms of drought. Once this snowpack melts up in around the Dakotas, then we should see some change in terms of the analysis. But for right now, what I'm looking at is right around that Minnesota, North Dakota area. There hasn't really been too much change in terms of moisture, but that's because the snowpack is still around. One thing to note is this whole Texas area last month was mostly in the red completely, so there's a lot of alleviation happening in Texas in terms of this early spring precip that they've received. So this is also a positive sign too. Let's take a look at what the forecast conditions are in terms of, there we go, in terms of the drought. Okay, this product is valid for April 4th to June 30th, so it takes us all right through the seeding season, and it was released in April, so it's kind of like a 2 or 3 month outlook. Pay attention here to this, the Midwest states. The green slash line is all improvement, and the green obviously is marked improvement. The whole area from the hashed line eastward to the green line, this was all forecasted to be, you know, mostly in a brown for this period. So this is another positive sign that maybe we'll see some alleviation. The only problem is that the persistence is kind of spreading westward. So if it continues in that trend, maybe by 2016, we'll see a nice drought map. But for now, West Texas, this is year 3 of dry conditions, and you can see there's still some developments. They come back and forth through the months in terms of its alleviation and its onset. So this whole area all through here has just been whacked year 3. But the good sign here is all through the Midwest. I guess last summer in the U.S. was the hottest summer on record, and we know about some of the crop failures through Kansas and some of the other areas to our south. So this is really another positive sign. So once again, everybody knows that we derive a lot of our summer convective or thunderstorm weather from what happens down here in the Gulf of Mexico. So more moisture on the ground means that it usually translates to means that we'll see more precipitation slowly work its way up to central Canada. That's about it for the American situations. I just wanted to show everybody where the snow is sitting right now. Oh, it's hard to see. Let me just grab something else. Sorry. Here's the latest snow analysis done this morning. We'll just take a peek and see if things are starting to retract down south. Okay, here's here's Manitoba right here that I'm circling with my mouse. You can see there's a high of 70 centimeters, and there's still a lot of pockets throughout southern Manitoba that still have 70 centimeters. Now, the bulk of this inside the snow cover is really, it's breaking down really quick. You just have to walk through this snow to see it. So I'm hoping with these temperature forecasts of possibly up to 5 and 6 before Sunday, we might see a real reduction in the snowpack. There's a little blank area in the southeast, but other than that, you can see starting from the Turtles up, there's a little slight area with some lower amounts, 3 to 8 centimeters, but you know, South Parkland is still in the 30s to the 50s, so there's still a lot of snow up there. This dashed line historically is where the snow line is, and I must say I was doing some research yesterday, and I could not find any locations in southern Manitoba that had a snowpack at the end of April. So we're coming towards the middle of the month and just past it. So this could be the first year in a long time where we actually have a snow cover at the end of April. So this next week with these warmer temperatures will really tell. We'll really have to keep an eye on this Pacific air mass that's coming in. It's expected to really give us a break in terms of raising the temperatures, but we'll have to watch. So within the next 2 weeks, anything could happen. Things are going to roll off the shelf so quick here in terms of transition that, you know, everything could be wrapped up and gone in terms of snow cover by the end of next week, or we could have some sustenance in terms of it staying around. So one notice to note, you can see the snowpack is all the way down to South Dakota still. So we still got a way to go. There's some, you'll see the high right here just in northern South Dakota. They still got close to 50 centimeters on the ground, and that's probably due to the recent snowfall on Monday. So it is what it is. You can see that Saskatchewan, especially the concern for you guys out there with the Souris and everything and the Saskatchewan watershed. Things are starting to come down slowly, but there's still some good snowpacks like around the Regina area with there's still a good 50 on the ground, so there's a ways to go. That's about all I have for you, unless there's any questions.
Yeah, Mike, I just had a inquiry, and maybe just they're looking for some clarification on, with this snow loss that we have so far, is this moisture going into the ground or evaporating, or what do you think's happening
No way.
there?
Yeah, good question, Linda. Good question, because what I usually been seeing this year is, believe it or not, around 75% of it is sublimating, and that's going from a solid right to a gas. Now, when snow does that phase change, it requires an enormous amount of energy to change its phase, and that really slows down the melting. It cools everything. It has to grab energy from the surrounding areas to make that phase change happen. Sublimation, I mean. So when that process occurs, it slows down the melting twofold almost. So, you know, you'll almost notice where you see some melting in the day, and then you come back in the morning and look, and it's all evaporated or whatever. So it's not going in the ground. You can see that when I showed the soil temperatures, things are still frozen down there. So the majority of what's happening is evaporating completely, unfortunately, but fortunately for the flood guys. I know it doesn't really help in terms of getting moisture into the ground to some of those dry areas, but it is what it is. I hope I answered your question there.
Yes, great. Okay, I have another one here. It's how much snow did we have if we have lost 3/4 of it due to sublimation and still have 70 centimeters on the surface?
Yeah. See, here's the problem with snow measurement that we have around here in southern Manitoba. The snow is very light in water content. Now, there's some situations where you can get 10 centimeters of snow, and if you melted that down, you know, it doesn't equate to much. Usually meteorologists use the 10-to-1 rule, i.e. if 10 centimeters of snow falls, they equivalent that to 10 millimeters of water. But it's not the case. If you took a column of the snow throughout periods of the winter, you'll see that that snow column is constantly diversifying and changing within the snowpack. So I know that it's hard to believe that if 70% of the snow melts, but you got to remember that what's left in most cases is just a hull of ice in a way. So if I took that column off, yeah, a lot of, when I say that the snowpack has decreased, I'm saying that 75% of that decrease in water equivalent has sublimated, not necessarily the snow cover. So you got to watch. I've heard a lot of talk this year about 200% of normal in Manitoba. Now that might be a few locations in probably drift areas that they measure the snow, and it's not really a good quantification of how much water we're getting, just due to the fact of what I explained about the 10-to-1 rule. So you could have a 30-centimeter snowpack, and it could be water weight equivalent at the start, 30 millimeters, but that same 30 centimeters over a month or two through sublimation and all its processes, that could be reduced by, you know, 60, 70%. So it's the water equivalent that we're focused on when I say we're losing moisture. Does that make sense?
That's great. Super. I don't have any more questions, but Lionel, do you have anything?
Yeah, actually I do, Mike. So now with the snow that's left in, there's also, you hear people talking because, like you had mentioned, that it's like an ice pack. So is there actually more moisture in the snow that's left out there now than there was, say, you know, when the melt started here? You know, just because it's kind of gone down and it seems harder or more iced.
It's really hard to tell, but at least around here, when I can go in the snow right now and put my foot down and it just slides right through. So, you know, snow measurement is one of the hardest things that we do to quantify. Rain's hard enough, but snow, you get a snow event and the snow's blowing sideways. It's a really hard thing to quantify. This stuff blows around. We're in the bottom of a valley. You know, the snow can literally advect or move from say the Saskatchewan border, you know, eastward. Like this snow amounts move around in the drifts, so it's a really hard thing to quantify, Lionel, and you know, to start microanalyzing it's a really hard thing to do.
Okay. One more question for you. You mentioned about the states and that they've been getting some precipitation. Has it been general down there, or has it been spotty, or I guess how is it, say, for them when they're talking about their crops now and stuff? Are there, say, the winter wheat crop, are they getting enough moisture for that crop?
Well, as you see on the models that I was showing, and when I showed the analysis for Ag Canada, you could see that they're much the same off as us in terms of snowpack, especially all the way down to South Dakota. So I don't see any difference down there than up here. The only bright spot that I could say is that every day things are warmer just due to our orbit around the sun. So we've got the sun on our side in terms of it getting better. So every day that radiation's eating its way and working its way to try to get to the ground to start warming it up. So they're in the same boat as us. The good thing that they have is the edge of the snowpack is right around the South Dakota. So as that snowpack recedes and energy gets to that ground, things are really going to warm up quick. And I think this is the key this spring too. The quicker this snow cover is gone, it's inevitably going to warm up. It's not going to be like it's going to expose anything on the surface and then it's going to freeze up again. I think once we lose the snow cover, we're in the free zone in terms of things will warm up really quickly. Even though the long term say cooler than normal, you got to take that with a grain of salt because, you know, 1 or 2 degrees below normal, we're not really going to notice. So I think the whole thing here is the snowpack. Once it's gone, things warm up incredibly fast. And if we keep an eye on the snow state down south, and as it recedes or melts or whatever's going on down there, you'll quickly see that everything rebounds really quick in terms of temperatures.
Mike, I do have a question here. They're just wondering if the impact of the slow melting will have any effect on summer rains.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think it really does in terms of that. The only thing that losing our snow cover quickly allows us, it allows heat to get into the ground. And the quicker the heat gets into the ground, the quicker, you know, the normal evapotranspirative processes carry on and things like that. So the snow covers everything. Once it's gone, I think we're in the clear completely.
Mike, there was just another comment. Somebody has asked, you had links to the American forecasting website, and just are those sites that can be accessed by everyone?
Oh yeah.
And if
you know
so,
what? Everything, yeah.
Just wondering if you can send us the link and then we will send it to everyone that's on the webinar.
I will do, but please use them with a grain of salt because there's a few things that are taken for granted. So as you look through these products and start jumping in to things down south, make sure that you read they'll always have a how to use this product on there. So it's a good idea just to quickly scan through that, just to make sure that you're looking at what you think you're looking at.
Good, thank you.
Okay, if there's no more questions, Linda, thanks, Mike. That was great. And we look forward to having you on webinars, I guess, throughout the year here. And I'm just going to get my screen back up here. And I guess with that, we've pretty much covered what we were going to cover today with the webinar. Just a reminder that the webinars will be on a weekly basis now. And if you're talking to somebody that's interested in becoming or listening to the webinars or being on the webinars, just let us know at the Ag office or the Go office here or any of the other Go offices, and they will get the name to us and we'll get them an invite. My information is there as well as Linda's, and I also wanted to share with you the information for the FPAs in the Southwest and the South Parkland area. You have Elmer Kaskiw, Murray Frank, Amir Farouk, Melissa Atchison, and Andrea Arbuckle. So if you're talking to or need any help with any of the stuff you're working on, or if you're interested in giving you the information regarding the webinars, if you contact any of these people, they will get your information to us as well. I guess with that, that'll end the webinar today, unless there's questions, Linda?
No, Lionel, I don't have anything else.
Okay. Well, okay, Linda, thanks. And